Most exciting 2 minutes. Most exciting 2 minutes, Rita.
One Kentucky Derby day, a man was walking down Churchill Downs when he spied a prominent seat that was empty. And he saw an old lady sitting next to the seat. So he went up to her and he said, "This is the Kentucky Derby day. Why is there an empty seat next to you?" She said, "Oh, that was my husband's. He's dead now." And then he asked, "Well, couldn't you bring a relative?" She said, "Well, I would, but they're all at the funeral." Yes, my fellow Toastmasters, the Kentucky Derby. Some people wouldn't miss it for the world, and I am one of them. I love the history, the tradition, and of course the horses. We'll start with the history. The Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby came into play in 1875. It's the oldest sports event in the history of the United States. It took place during World War I, World War II, and the Depression. Nothing stopped the Kentucky Derby. It's the most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports. Colonel Lewis Clark, who is the grandson of the Lewis and Clark explorers, William Clark, he's the one that founded Churchill Downs. He was over in Europe and he came back and said, I think I can make a racetrack just as good as that. So each year, 20 horses compete. These horses compete throughout the year, throughout the whole United States and parts of the world. It's held the second Saturday in May, and it attracts about probably at least 155,000 people attend it each year. And it's the first race of 3 races, which is called the Triple Crown. The second race is the Preakness, and the third race is the Belmont Stakes. You have celebrities, royalty, and even presidents who attend. You've got the Kardashians, you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, and royalty, we've had Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. They attended the 207 Kentucky Derby. Presidents include Jimmy Carter, Harry Truman, Ronald Reagan, and Lyndon Baines Johnson, to name a few. But I like the tradition of the Kentucky Derby. And what sets it apart from other sports events is the hats. Everyone wears these hats, and they're the most talked about things at the Derby. It started the first year where Colonel Meriwether Clark, he wanted to attract the right clientele, so he hired all these high society women, and so they started coming to the Kentucky Derby with their hats and their parasols and their purses and their matching shoes. And so that was more important after a while than the horses, and now it got back to being about the horse races. It wasn't until about probably the 1960s that the extravagant hats you see now became prevalent. I've been to probably a few Kentucky Derby parties, and so I know a little bit about wearing hats. And a lot of them, this is like a typical Kentucky Derby hat. You have a wide brim and you've got a lot of flowers and flash. And then some people go for more zany type of hats and you wear something like this. But this is more the common style of hats that you would see at the Derby. But no hat on your head is complete without a mint julep in the hand, which is another tradition. The mint julep is made with a sugar syrup that's water and sugar mixed up and then refrigerated overnight with mint, and then you pour the bourbon over the sugar mixture with some ice. But it better be Kentucky bourbon, all right? Another tradition that I like is when everyone sings My Old Kentucky Home. When the horses come onto the track and everyone stands up to sing My Old Kentucky Home, I get all choked up and excited. It's as American as apple pie. finally, you have the horses themselves. Now, if you watch the Kentucky Derby from home, you get about 2 hours of pre-show information on these horses, on the trainers, on the jockeys, you know, all the obstacles that they've gone through to get there. Last year, the winner was American Pharoah. He went on to win the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes, so he was the Triple Crown winner, which hasn't happened in 37 years. And after he won the Kentucky Derby, his trainer had all the people come to his stables because he said, I want everyone to see what a kind and gentle horse this is. Secretariat, who won it during the 70s, when they did an autopsy, they found that his heart was twice as big as other horses, and he was known for being such a kind and gentle horse too. So these races are more about, it's not just about these magnificent creatures, it's also about these horses that are almost like a pet to people. So you've learned a little bit about the horses, the history, the tradition, and so there you have it. Hunter Thompson, the writer, he wrote that when he attended the Kentucky Derby, he said, the race itself is only 2 minutes long, and even if you have super magnifying binoculars, there's no way you can really see what's happening. Moments after the race was over, the crowd surged for the exits, rushing for cabs and buses. There was violence in the parking lots. People were punched and trampled. Pockets were picked. Children lost. Bottles hurled. I can't wait to come back next year. Yes, fellow Toastmasters, the Kentucky Derby. It's on my bucket list, and I think it should be on yours too. And I can't wait for it to happen this year. Thank you.